us off with introductions. And then Terrence, if you can spotlight or pin Tyler, that would be great. I also, Terrence, if you can record these, I know people are eager to see these posted on our website. So whenever you did hit record. Well, great. Thank you, Terrence.
Thanks, Shabnam, and welcome everyone to this call today. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're located. And today, we've got a nice webinar on taking your 4-H program to the next level. We've got some presenters from NIFA, some presenters from institutions that receive NIFA funding. And my name's Tyler Hayes. I'm an Equal Opportunity Specialist with NIFA's Civil Rights Office. Some of you I may know, some of you might not know me. I started back with NIFA August of last year and previously worked at HUD, Housing and Urban Development, and Peace Corps, doing some civil rights work as well. A few pieces of housekeeping before we get into the presentation today. This meeting is being recorded. You may have heard the announcement, this meeting is being recorded, but it is. It will be available for future watching. If there's something you missed or you want to reference something later on, we will email out a link to the listserv of grantees. And if there's any additional people that needed to be added to that listserv, you can email myself directly or the NIFA Civil Rights Rep contact you've got to make sure that we can get you added to that list. As I mentioned, we've got some speakers here today from NIFA and from grantees. The speakers, they'll have about 15 minutes each to go through their slides to present on their topic. And then after that, there'll be some time for question and answers. So if you can, save those questions until the end. You are welcome to place those in the chat at any point. We will be reviewing the chat as well to make sure that we've covered the questions, we've answered those. Or at the end, you can simply raise your hand, use the reaction button at the bottom of your screen to raise your hand if you'd like to ask that way. And with that, we can jump in. We can get started with the first part. And our first presenters will be from NIFA. And we've got Dr. Jeff Sallee and Mr. Christopher Petty. See some waves. Thank you all for doing that. And just some quick bios about each one of them. Dr. Sallee, he works for NIFA as a National Program Leader for the 4-H Positive Youth Development Program. He grew up in Oklahoma, has been involved in 4-H way back when, since the 4th grade, and received his bachelor's degree in agricultural economics from Oklahoma State University. Go Cowboys, for these Cowboys fans out there. And previously worked as a county extension agent with the University of Arkansas's 4-H program. Also worked with the University of Georgia's 4-H program as well. Before returning back to Oklahoma in 2001, went back to Oklahoma State University and worked as a Farm Bureau professor and a 4-H extension specialist within that youth development 4-H program, and completed his PhD at Oklahoma State while continuing to work as a 4-H specialist and rose to the rank of a full professor. Our second NIFA speaker that we've got is Mr. Christopher Petty. He's been with NIFA since 2020 and works as a program specialist within the Division of Youth and 4-H. Mr. Petty, he's got 17 years of experience within youth in the 4-H realm, including 13 years as a 4-H agent in the Cooperative Extension Program. He's got degrees in agricultural business, animal sciences, and adult learning and leadership, and is currently a doctoral student of organizational leadership. He's an enrolled member, Bear Clan member of the Bokojay tribe of Kansas and Nebraska, and also previously worked as a special emphasis program manager for American Indian and Alaska Natives with NIFA. And fun fact, Mr. Petty, in his spare time, he serves as an adult leader with Scout Troop 1306 out of Blue Springs, Missouri. So thank you both, and I'll turn things over to Dr. Sallee.
Thank you, Tyler. Appreciate that introduction. And I also got to brag on Chris Petty. He is also a barbecue judge. And you need to let him take you out for barbecue at some point when you get the opportunity. I would like to thank everybody for being here. It's just, we appreciate the opportunity to talk about 4-H and youth development as always. I have a couple other co-presenters here, Woodie Hughes and Melanie Biersmith. They're both from Georgia. One works with the 1890 University, the other works with the 1862 land grant. We'll cover that a little bit in a minute. But I especially appreciate them taking their time and coming to join us today. So Akelia, let's get started with this and move on to the next slide. So overview. I think I heard something about best practices. We're going to talk a little bit about the 4-H program and how it was established, a little bit about how it runs, what's the member definition, a little bit about policies and practices. So you're not going to get anything terribly creative on programming right here, but you're going to get some good history and some good knowledge in how 4-H runs. Next slide, please. Okay, what is the 4-H program? If you were not in 4-H, you probably have no idea what we're talking about. So just bear with us, and we're going to get you caught up to speed. If you already know, great. We love it when we have people that are here that have a 4-H history and some experience and hopefully some positive youth development from growing up in the 4-H program. 4-H has a rich history of being a leader in positive youth development experiences for more than a century. 4-H Positive Youth Development, PYD, is the flagship for youth development and educational programming of the U.S. Department of Agriculture. It is implemented by the Cooperative Extension System, and it is administered through over 110 land-grant colleges and universities, which are located across the United States and in its territories. The 4-H reach is approximately 6 million, 2.6 million rural, 1.8 million urban, and 1.6 million suburban. So we reach across all parts of the United States. We're not limited to just rural areas. And it is delivered by 3,500. That is a lot of folks that are cooperative extension professionals and 500,000 volunteers. So it is a huge organization. At any point in time, there is a lot going on in the 4-H program. Next slide. Okay. 4-H empowers you to reach their full potential, working and learning in partnership with caring adults. And the key to that is caring adults. That's that 500,000 volunteers. Our educators care, but the volunteers probably get the best experience with the youth. The land-grant university 4-H offices, which are located in most counties, deliver the programs. We also have military 4-H clubs on installations that offer quality educational experiences that allow you to continue their 4-H work wherever they move when their parents are deployed. So if they're in the military and they move 17 times across 8 years, there's always a 4-H club there waiting for them to join. So they have that feeling of home no matter where they're at. Programs are delivered by, like I said, caring, trained adults. And they may be professionals, they may be volunteers, they may be teachers, they may be military staff. A variety of folks are interested in 4-H. Actually, anybody that is interested in working with youth and positive youth development is invited to volunteer for 4-H. 4-H programs are generally open for youth beginning around age 8 or 9, depending upon the land-grant university and their policies. Some states offer youth ages 5 to 7 or 8, called Clover Buds, Clover Kids, 4-H Adventurers, different names. Most states prohibit this age group from competition due to research, but they're always the little brothers and sisters that come to the club meetings. Everybody enjoys having them around, and they work with them to teach them some 4-H as well, a little bit of agriculture, a little bit of project work, and competition is unhealthy for them, so that part is avoided. Next slide. Okay, under our legislative authority, 4-H came to be, it was grassroots. First thing you have to understand about 4-H is it was developed by volunteers, superintendents, school teachers, people that believed rural schools were inadequate, people that believed they didn't want their youth moving to the city, not because the city was bad, but because they wanted to keep them at home, keep them working in agriculture. And 4-H has a rich history in this. And through this organization of youth clubs, the government got involved and began to create acts that supported these clubs. They saw the value in it, they saw the food security in it, and they wanted to become involved and to ensure that it continued on. The first act of 1862 was written by Justin Morrill with the support of President Lincoln. I always think that's cool, so I have to throw it in there. And he created the land-grant institution so that working class citizens could have equal access to higher education with a focus on farming and mechanical skills. The second Morrill Act was established in 1890, and it started the land-grant institutions to address educational inequality among African Americans. And then the Smith-Lever Act of 1914 created the Cooperative Extension Service, which is associated with each land-grant institution. It has to be. It also nationalized 4-H youth development programs. The partnership between the agricultural colleges and USDA enables the dissemination of information produced by the experiment station's research. So it is a method to share new research. Akelia? Hey, and we didn't stop there. The Elementary and Secondary Education Reauthorization Act of 1994 established the tribal colleges were authorized by the U.S. Congress and the land-grant colleges. So the tribal colleges and institutions became land-grant. And the Department of Agriculture Reorganization Act of 1994, prior to the Department of Ag Reorganization Act, agencies that preceded NIFA were largely established as a result of executive orders or directives from the Secretary of Agriculture. And this act cleaned all that up, made it official, and it merged all the cooperative extension, I'll just say organizations, into one single agency, the Cooperative State Research Education and Extension Service. The merger made a single agency responsible for allocating funds and providing leadership of research, education, and extension, which is now known as NIFA. Next slide. Okay. This map shows the 110 plus land-grant universities and their locations. And not only are they located across the contiguous United States, Alaska and Hawaii, they're also offered in all of our territories. Maybe not all of them have accepted, but just as an example, Micronesia, Palau, is in the process of reorganizing their extension service. So it is widespread. Next slide. We mentioned the 1890 land-grant institutions. There are 19 historically Black colleges and universities that are scattered across, most of them across the South here. You can see their locations that were established to equalize the educational outreach of the Cooperative Extension Service. Next slide. Okay, a typical 4-H program. Programs are generally offered in STEM, healthy living, civic engagement, and leadership. We call these our mission mandates. That's the big three. The common land-grant university defined delivery modes include 4-H clubs, which you'll hear us talk about the most, it seems to be. They can be community clubs, in-skill clubs, after-school clubs, or military clubs. Community clubs are often called the traditional 4-H club because they resemble the original 4-H clubs that we discussed. Other delivery modes are special interest, short-term programs, camps, which can be overnight or day camps, as long as they have that 4-H educational component. School enrichment program, where our educators and sometimes our volunteers go into schools and teach 4-H programming, 4-H project programs. Individual study, mentoring, family learning, school-age childcare, after-school, instructional TV, video, and webcast programs, which have become much more popular since the COVID pandemic. Next slide. Okay, traditional 4-H community clubs. First thing I want to say about it, this is not the best way, it's just the oldest way. We can deliver educational program a variety of methods that we have mentioned, but this is the traditional way, but it doesn't mean that it is the only way or the best way. So some common program elements, no matter where they're located across these 110 land-grant universities and military institutions. They're an organized group of youth members from a neighborhood, community, or county. They are led by a 4-H volunteer because we really appreciate our volunteers. Typically, they meet in the evening or on weekends. They have a planned program that is carried out most of the year, so they pre-plan their year, and the youth are highly involved in that. They're chartered, which means they are supported by a land-grant university. They have elected youth officers. They have bylaws. They may be project specific, just a livestock club, robotics club, shooting sports club, or they may be full of multiple self-chosen projects where every youth has a different project that they're working on. They have an officer structure that makes decisions by parliamentary procedures. We call that youth voice, and that is the leadership training of 4-H. They may use project books to learn about various projects. The majority of them will complete record books of some type that's keeping a record of what they have learned, events they have participated in, community service and civic engagement they have done. So they learn that record keeping, and also it's a lot of our awards program is based on the record book. And some of these clubs will have additional requirements, which may be attendance or participation in community service, county fair participation, a variety of things. When you're talking about 3,000 counties, you do get a variety of methods of approach that 4-H clubs are involved with. Next slide. Okay, some considerations that we always have to keep in mind and think about when it comes to community clubs is, are community clubs additional requirements a barrier to youth participation? We don't want this. We try to avoid this. So it's something we have to watch when they start saying you have to attend so much, you have to be involved in county activities. So we don't want to adversely affect some groups or any youth more than others. Do all youth have the same access to the same opportunities is a very important question. Are the same opportunities made available to youth in other delivery modes? Are we equal? Do we invite everybody to, say, the speech contest as an example, to the robotics contest, to the educational days in the summer? We want to make sure to include everyone. We have to be aware of assumptions that this delivery mode is the greatest impact. That's what I was saying. It's a great delivery mode, but it's not the only delivery mode. And we also have to be aware that this is how it has to be. And I have a history of working in the county, and I can tell you the volunteers love their clubs, and they get to thinking it is the only way to do it, which it's not. So you spend some time educating them as well. Next slide. Okay, the thriving model. 4-H is research-based, period. All the projects, all the areas are based in research. We talked about the experiment stations and their research, but everything we do is based in research, and that includes the thriving model It's the research that we have done for the best ways for positive youth development for the majority of our 4-H youth. It was adopted as a national model for 4-H. It is the most common positive youth development model used in 4-H across the cooperative extension system. It's not the only one, but it's the most common one. Whether a land-grant university adopts this model is up to them. Some of them have. There are some out there that haven't. And it is a theory of change for positive youth development in 4-H. So it is our effort to illustrate the process of positive youth development. We all know we can do good things. We know that we educate youth. We know that we teach them leadership. And this is our way to try to illustrate that by connecting the high-quality program settings to the promotion of youth thriving. Next slide. Okay, 4-H member definition. This has been an interesting topic of late. In 2018, still hung up in the 1900s, I guess. In March of 2018, the Extension Committee on Policy stated that all, that's a huge word, all youth programming in Extension is by definition 4-H, and that the preferred name for Extension Youth Development Programming is 4-H Youth Development. And that was followed up by the Program Leaders Working Group the following year in June of 2019. A 4-H member is a youth who participates in any educational program or activity delivered by the Cooperative Extension and or receives cooperative extension-based curriculum. A 4-H member includes a youth who is individually enrolled or group enrolled, regardless of the type of 4-H engagement, delivery method in which they are participating. So nowhere in this do you see that they have to be involved in a club. 4-H members are anybody that all youth programming by extension. It's the easiest way to remember. Next slide. Okay, I'm going to turn this over to Chris Petty, and he's going to talk to you about tribal 4-H.
Thank you, Dr. Sallee. Dr. Sallee spoke a little bit about the traditional or typical 4-H. I'm going to talk about 4-H as it relates to indigenous or tribal populations. And this sometimes looks different than what it might look like in other places, and that's okay. I apologize in advance for the acronyms on this slide. I'll try to explain what all those mean to you. But what I want you to take notice of is that there's lots of different ways that indigenous and tribal 4-H and positive youth development can come together. And that can be through programs like Children, Youth, Families at Risk or CIFAR, Tribal Extension Capacity, FERTEP or Federally Recognized Tribes Extension Program. Those programs can take place as supported by the 1994 land-grant universities, or any combination of ways that you see here. All are acceptable ways to have a 4-H program adapted for use in indigenous or tribal communities. Next slide, please. All right, depending on the size of your screen, you may or may not be able to read this, but the point that I want to get across is this is where the 1994 land-grant universities are located. You'll see that the majority of them are in the north central states and in the Southwest. And with the exception of two of those, Haskell Indian Nations University and one down in New Mexico, these are smaller schools. If you go to the next slide. All right, here you can see a list of the 1994 land-grant colleges and universities. And you'll see that most of these are small junior colleges or community colleges. And the way that these are set up is they are designed to meet the educational needs of the tribal population in the area. Now, they may determine that that includes 4-H and positive youth development, or it may not include that. That's up to the 1994. So they're given that option. And many of them have 4-H or they have positive youth development by any other name, like Boys and Girls Club or just after school programs or whatnot. Next slide, please. Dr. Sallee showed the Thrive model, but here I want you to take a look at another model called the Peoplehood model. And the point of this is that models can be adapted for use and be made to be culturally relevant for the target audience. You'll see here, this looks quite a bit different than the model you saw earlier, as this one is designed for use in tribal and indigenous communities. And the reason why this is okay is on the next slide that you're going to see. I'm going to give it back to Dr. Sallee to explain that, why 4-H and positive youth development is allowed to be adapted.
Thanks, Chris. This is why it's allowed to be adaptive. We, as the Division of Youth and 4-H, have no program requirements for 4-H. We leave those up to the land-grant university that they are involved with, and we do not dictate policies and regulations. That comes through the Cooperative Extension Service, which is one of our partners in the 4-H program. Next slide. Okay, policies and practices of interest. I'm a little short of my time. I could spend a long time on this slide, but these are questions that we have to ask ourselves to make sure that we are in compliance with civil rights. That we are just generally treating people, public and youth, the way that we should. And these questions are, where is 4-H programming offered? Are we offering it to everybody? What youth programs are considered 4-H, what are not, and why? How is 4-H membership defined, which I gave you a definition? Is everybody following that definition? How are adult volunteers being recruited? What's required for you to participate? These are the things that, in a way, keep us up at night and drive us to make sure that we are reaching all youth, no matter where they are located, no matter what their background is. We want to make sure the enrollment's fair. We want to make sure that the local and state governance structure treats them all equally, and we want to follow up on this. It's important to us. Next slide. All right, this is our non-discrimination statement. So in accordance with federal civil rights law and U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA, civil rights regulations and policies, the USDA, its agencies, offices, employers, and institutions participating in or administering USDA programs are prohibited from discriminating based on race, color, national origin, religion, sex, gender identity, including gender expression, sexual orientation, disability, age, marital status, family, parental status, income derived from public assistance program, political beliefs, or reprisal or retaliation for prior civil rights activities. In any program or activity conducted or funded by USDA, not all bases apply to all programs. Remedies and compliant filing deadlines vary by program or incident. So in short, USDA is an equal opportunity provider, employer, and lender. And this is our discrimination statement. If you want more information on this, you can follow the link. Okay, so with that, I am going to turn it over to Dr. Woodie Hughes, and he's going to tell us about 4-H and an 1890 institution.
Thank you, Jeff and Chris, for that. Real quick, Mr. Hughes's bio. He comes to us from Fort Valley State University, go Wildcats, where he serves as the Assistant Extension Administrator and 4-H Program Leader, and has been with Fort Valley State since April of 2003. Born and raised on the west side of Chicago, he got a bachelor's degree and master's degree in criminal justice from Chicago State University, and he also serves as a representative of the 1890 region state 4-H program leaders for all 19 of the 1890 region 4-H programs, and was the first African-American appointed to a leadership position for the Extension Committee on Organization and Policy. He has over 16 years of experience, professional work experience as a federal grant proposals reviewer, in addition to previously working as a 4-H camp director and counselor, mental health professional, case manager, and family consultant. He also served 8 years with the Illinois Army National Guard, so thank you for your service there. and he now happily resides in Central Georgia with his wife of 23 years. And he's got 2 kids, a 22-year-old daughter and a 16-year-old son. Mr. Hughes, take it away.
Good afternoon. Can you see my slides?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. Good afternoon, colleagues. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. We're going to start with first question. What are the land-grant university best practices of 4-H positive youth development program? And of course, I'm responding from a Fort Valley State University 1890 4-H perspective. And some of this is going to reflect what you've already heard with Dr. Sallee. For us, the best practices are making sure that you incorporate thriving and belonging, generosity, independence, and mastery as essential elements in your programming, because these are backed up by the research. And as you can see, and as many of you all know, belonging relates to a positive relationship with a caring adult. Independence is just giving a young person a chance to be prepared, to become ready for life, to be successful. And generosity, being able to have an opportunity to value and practice service to others. And mastery deals with engagement and learning opportunities for young people. The next one, what are the land-grant university best practices for 4-H youth development program continued? One of the most important aspects that I've experienced over the last 25 plus years is making sure that you incorporate behavior habits of mind, particularly as it relates to a growth mindset in the practice of engaging youth with the evidence research base of 4-H thriving model, which is this process in positive youth development has 7 indicators of thriving. And these 7 indicators are really crucial when you're working with underserved, underrepresented youth, or any particular youth in rural or urban settings. Having an openness to challenge and discovery, growth mindset, hopeful purpose, pro-social orientation, positive emotionality, and you can see the rest of them. But it's like these particular 7 indicators also align with the meaning behind the words of our 4-H pledge. What are the land-grant university 4-H positive youth development program dues? The most important thing, or one of the most important aspects of ensuring that your 4-H program always takes place in a safe space is ensure that all 4-H programming, inclusive of positive youth development, is inclusive of all positive youth development program quality principles, which is used to be referred to as the key principal essential elements of positive youth development, which is physical and psychological safety. As we continue in the 21st century, we want all youth to feel a sense of belonging and all youth to be safe. So when you deal with the physical safety, that deals with just making sure they're safe physically. But when you start thinking about psychological safety, that also ensures that no virtual bullying and none of that takes place. And as you can see the other areas of the positive youth development program quality principles. What are the land-grant university 4-H positive youth development program don'ts? Don't allow 4-H adult volunteers to violate the 4-H Code of Ethics for adults working with youth. And don't allow 4-H youth to violate the 4-H Codes of Conduct. Those 2 have been the most crucial in keeping young people safe and being able to stay in alignment with your university legal system. Examples: if you have an adult leader working with 4-H youth, make sure that they sign your 4-H Code of Ethics for adults working with youth. Something like, I will have the participants or other leader and property associated with the 4-H program. I would say a good example as a 4-H role model. You want them to be in compliance, but you want to have it in writing. An example of a 4-H'er following the code of conduct that they may sign. It may include something restricted like you cannot have any possession or use of illegal drugs. You can't have a weapon, those type of things. And if you have these 4-H conduct in place, this can help ensure what you can keep a young person safe in their environment through your 4-H positive youth development work. What constitutes a 4-H event in your state? For Fort Valley State University, a 4-H event is a 4-H thriving, important occurrence where positive youth development experiential learning intentionally occurs in an environment that is inclusive of the positive youth development program quality principles of the essential key elements of positive youth development. What are some best practices in 4-H that include age exceptions on federal regulations, which deals with Age Discrimination Act of 1975? Fort Valley State University Extension Program works with what we refer to as exceptional students to ensure that diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility for all takes place. In the state of Georgia, they don't say special education students anymore, like some of us that may have been born in the 70s or earlier used to hear. Nowadays, with a lot of the youth that we reach, or a lot of students that used to be called by those other titles, they refer to them as exceptional students as a way to promote positive behavior in school and a way to make sure that all of the young people see themselves as being very unique and valued. 4-H events. What are some 4-H events that attract underrepresented groups, or events that attract participants from all demographic groups, such as the National 4-H Conference, National Ignite 4-H Youth Summit? Some of these pictures that you see here, these were taken this year in 2024. We have a group of young people from Muskogee County, Georgia, and a group of young people from Fulton County, and some from Worth County, the rural parts of Sylvester, Georgia. So these are some examples of how you can incorporate diverse youth at the national level so that they can have those premier 4-H positive youth development experiences. Highlights of your 4-H program that speaks to diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility, or just highlights of your program. This is an article that came out a few months ago, 6 months ago, that highlighted some of the areas. One of the areas that we're very proud of, Fort Valley State University is part of a 1890 region USDA AFRI 4-H Youth Engaging Agriculture Grant, which consists of 6 of the historically Black 1890 land grant universities working together across state lines to ensure that the next generation receives their 4-H college and career readiness from a workforce readiness, ready for life perspective, to be able to increase the diversity of young people that are become aware of those food and science careers, but also become aware of those degrees that they can pursue so that they can thrive in life and hopefully pursue degrees at our land grant universities. Some other highlights are this year in February 2024, the Association of Public Land Grant Universities, Ag Assembly, they recognized the Fort Valley State University 4-H Village Community Garden Outdoor Research Laboratory Learning Project, which we reached our 10th year for feeding thousands of people for free. And it was recognized during Black History Month in 2024 by the Association of Public Land Grant Universities Board of Agriculture Assembly as one of the programs of excellence in the community as it relates to reaching those diverse equity and inclusion groups, as well as being able to feed people with fresh produce in a food desert in rural Georgia, in a county that now has only 5,800 plus residents. So many died during 2020 during COVID, and that's what reduced it from 6,200. And one of the other highlights of the R4H program that speaks to improving diversity, equity, and inclusion and accessibility is what I spoke about with the 1890 USDA AFRI grant. And this is an example of what you see on the screen of our Youth Innovators Empowering Agriculture Teen Advisory Committee. So the 6 of the 1890 land grant universities have a team of youth advisors that are being able to discuss issues as it relates to improving the food system in America, identifying issues in the community that can be solved, and being able to create 4-H projects to be able to solve those issues now. This is a picture of a variety of different experiences that the Fort Valley State University 4-H program has been involved in to be able to expose different youth that may not otherwise have an opportunity, from going to the White House or going to Capitol Hill, or being engaged with aeroponics towers and learning about 4-H STEM and becoming scientists. These are just some of the examples of those action photos that were caught. And at this time, thank you. I look forward to being able to have more time to answer questions if time permits. But this is my contact information, and I look forward to being able to learn more from each of you. And thank you for taking time to listen to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes, for that. And now we will move on to our final presenter today, Mrs. Melanie Biersmith, who serves as the state 4-H leader and director of 4-H for the University of Georgia's Cooperative Extension Program. No dogs, you probably already know that. And Mrs. Biersmith leads a staff of over 200 employees that serve over 170,000 youth throughout Georgia. And she began her career with the University of Georgia Extension back in 2003, working as an environmental education coordinator on Jekyll Island. She's also worked as a 4-H specialist in science and environmental education, as well as serving as an associate state 4-H leader for UGA's 4-H program. She has a bachelor's degree of science in biology from Georgia College and a master's degree in science education from the University of Georgia. She previously taught high school science for a couple years, and once a teacher, always a teacher. She's still connected to the education realm through her husband, who is a high school science teacher in Morgan County, and they've got 2 kids together. Mrs. Biersmith, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you so much, y'all, for having me. And I appreciate the opportunity to provide an overview of Georgia 4-H. And it's definitely best to go after Dr. Sallee and Mr. Hughes, because they really set the stage such that I can just sort of give some highlights from the University of Georgia 4-H perspective. So I think you'll hear a lot of what was laid out, and I'll just put it in the context of how we do some programming. I'll try to hit our delivery model, some of our programmatic efforts, a little bit about our organizational structure, and some of our best practices. As you just glance at those photos on the screen, it's a glimpse of who we serve. It's hard, just as Woodie struggles to tell the whole story of what Fort Valley does in just a few slides. I too struggle to tell the whole story of what we do in a few slides, but I think these pictures show you a glimpse of what types of programming efforts we offer. And in general, our audiences are elementary through high school. So you heard Jeff speak about age, and many states and many land grants choose to use grade levels, and we are one of those. We typically start our programming in 4th grade and extend that through 12th grade. There certainly are exceptions on either side of that, but that is the majority of who we serve throughout our state. When you think about our reach, this chart just gives us a snapshot of what the University of Georgia and Fort Valley programs together are reaching across the state of Georgia. So these numbers are inclusive of both of our land grants. And I think this is just an interesting way to look at things. You know, if you love data, you can look at the trends. And if you love data, you can look at the peaks and valleys. And so you see both here. Our 10-year rolling average in terms of participation, you can see is right around 172,000. And you can see where we ended last program year was certainly back on track with that. The peaks and the valleys that you see, there was a lot of growth right before COVID. A lot of things were really strong and growing well, and you can see the impacts that COVID had on our program. We all know we could do a whole presentation just on that alone, so I won't dive into that, but hopefully what you see too is the recovery back from that. And we're especially proud of the stabilization that we've been able to achieve post-COVID. And we're just very pleased knowing the number of factors and different variables that play into the number of people that we can reach. We know that in order to reach these numbers of people, you heard Jeff talk about national numbers. This is what it looks like at the University of Georgia to support the 4-Hers that we reach. In our state, we operate in 4 extension districts. And so that's what you see on the map on the left. Each of them houses about 39 or 40 counties. Each one of those districts is supported by a program development coordinator. And so those really serve as coaches and mentors and specialists to help those county professionals then within the counties do that local delivery. So this model is very successful for us. You can kind of see a snapshot of those numbers. Couple hundred faculty, staff, and paraprofessionals working at the county level. And we do have a state 4-H office that houses about 30 people. This would include faculty specialists as well as foundation staff, events teams, student workers. So a lot of variety of folks there. We also operate 5 4-H facilities that are residential and 1 day use facility in Georgia. So that staff is another couple hundred that it takes to operate those facilities and deliver programs from there. And then, as you have heard loud and clear, it also takes a cadre of volunteers to build the capacity that you need to reach these young people. And in Georgia, that's around 5,000 annual volunteers supporting in various ways and various roles, sometimes honed in on a specific program, or sometimes supporting a whole county's total operation. So a lot of buy-in from our adult volunteer audiences. We tell our story every year in an annual report, and I put this up here just as visuals. I know you probably can't read all the infographics, but it's a great way to tell our story. Our program year in Georgia runs August 1 to July 31. And so we try to have this out by the December holidays every year so that it's hitting those mailboxes and we're reflecting on that previous year. You can see things like the impactful programs that we offer, our demographics, where our young people live. This is that opportunity to highlight that impact and really think about the reach and the breadth of our program. So it is very wide, but we try not to stop there because, as we've heard others described, it's really also about the depth of that 4-H experience that the young people have as well. So we really enjoy the opportunity that an annual report and other venues give us to tell those stories of impact. So those individual 4-Hers who have had a unique journey or a unique path through 4-H, they've had an experience. They grew in that flower model that you saw Jeff put on his screen as they thrived and moved through those youth development principles. And so we like to tell their stories as well and the skills that they're developing to become ready for life. And so we really do try to balance not only telling the story of breadth, but also the depth of the programs that we're offering. You also have heard this, so I won't slow down here long. Most of our programs fall into a content bucket area. We use agriculture and science, civic engagement, and leadership and health and wellness as those 3 big content buckets. Something a little bit more unique that we do here in Georgia is we also define a core 4. And what we mean by that is we ask all 159 of our counties to, at minimum, offer these 4 programs to the young people in their communities. So that way there's a consistent foundation across Georgia that youth have access to. And I want to tell you just a little bit about each one of these because they really each are special in a unique way and become part of the core 4 for a unique way. That local in-school programming is our ability to go in schools during the school day alongside school teachers usually organized as a monthly meeting and meet 4-Hers. This is usually 5th grade, although it dips down into 4th grade and can extend into middle and even high school sometimes. But primarily, this is that 5th grade audience. And this is so important to us because this is often that first point of access we have to a young person. We have removed a lot of barriers by going to where the young people are. So they're in school, we go to their school, we deliver content alongside their school teachers, and then we open the door for all the other opportunities that might be available to them through Georgia 4-H programming. So it's a really powerful mechanism to reach young people, and we have to nurture those relationships, and we nurture them at every level, at the local level, district level, state level. We're always working on our school relations because we recognize how important that piece of our core 4 is. A piece of our core 4 is also project achievement. This might be a little more familiar or more comfortable for many. When you think about 4-H work, this is often described as project work. This is a young person who has an interest in an area and they explore that deeply. 4th through 6th grade, they're really just developing a speech and a presentation or demonstration. As they get older, they build a portfolio that also supports and demonstrates that work. So it's a really comprehensive process that can follow them all the way until high school as they grow those life skills. State 4-H Council is our constitutional meeting for Georgia 4-H. It's youth-led, it's youth-planned. Of course, it's adult supervised, but all the youth voice is strong in that event. It actually just happened this last weekend. We had a little over 650 people there. We voted on a constitutional amendment. We elected our new state 4-H officer. So for these reasons, the fact that it's a constitutional meeting, it's really important to us that this is offered universally all across Georgia so that it has representation from all 159 counties so that they're there and have a voice at the table during these important elections and at the constitutional meeting. And then that 4th piece of our core 4 is our 4-H camp. Of course, we're right in the throes of it now, as many other states are as well. We really consider this a hook for those 4-Hers. So we know if they have a 4-H camp experience, particularly early in their 4-H career, they develop that sense of belonging, they gain independence, they build really strong relationships with those caring adult leaders that you keep hearing about. And we know they'll stay in 4-H and continue to benefit from those experiences. So we also like to make sure that that is available across the state. And then hopefully you're kind of hearing the value of having that foundation. And then we ask counties to build on top of that, to offer programs and activities that then supplement and provide that unique journey that we talked about for 4-Hers. So those additional experiences can include anything you see on this roadmap here. You know, maybe it's ambassador programs or shooting sports programs or animal science contests or serving as an officer, participating in a judging or a quiz bowl team or singing in our performing arts groups. All of these experiences, though, really build that rich, deep learning, those opportunities for young people to thrive and continue to build those life skills. So that's just a little bit about how we choose to structure in Georgia. The way that looks on paper is just this image. Again, it's okay that you can't read the text. The idea is that each year we try to provide an overview of all the offerings that happen outside of a county. So this doesn't even begin to capture all that's happening. These are just opportunities beyond the county office. We know each and every county is offering rich experiences there locally, and these just build upon that. We do visit this, and I'll tell you a little bit about a needs assessment process in a moment, just to make sure that this stays relevant and current. And so we're actually in the process of a needs assessment now, and I'll hit that in just a moment. I did just want to visit some of these various topics we've been talking all about and all around. I just kind of threw them on one slide in terms of what guides us. How do we go about doing some of this work? And it's hard to explain quickly, but I think this just gives you an overview. We have a really robust, powerful, custom-built electronic system in Georgia that helps us manage our enrollment, all the rosters that we have associated with our activities and our clubs and our events. It is also how we manage our volunteer rosters and all the certifications that we require for them to be engaged before they serve young people. It is also how we manage those youth code of conducts, how we give them trainings as it relates to judging, even how we score some of our events. how we manage our charter. So it's a very rich, robust system, and this houses so much of what we do. So often when we need information or we need reports or we want to do a check-in, there's a lot of data that can be extracted from these systems to inform and guide us. Of course, risk management is at the core of what we do. Youth protection is absolutely the foundation of our work. Until we can take care of the safety of our young people, we can't offer all these other rich experiences. So this is just a snapshot. Of course, our UJ policy for programs and activities serving minors guides our work. Everything is built upon that. At the University of Georgia, we also have great campus partners that we work closely with. You see a few of them listed here: our police, our equal opportunity office. I see one of my partners on the Zoom today. We work often and very well together. Chris, good to see you. Our Office of Legal Affairs, our Office of Emergency Preparedness. So it is the collection of all of this, all of our ability to work together, that we build that risk management practice and really foundation for all that we do. We consistently offer trainings and professional development, not just for our paid employees and our paid staff, but also to our volunteers, because we know they need support to be successful. And so we have foundational trainings built into what we do. We offer in-service training. Some of them are annualized, some of them are one-time. So it is, of course, very situational, but the acknowledgement that training is an important piece of what we do and how we sustain ourselves. And then the resources that we are able to provide. These are just a few examples. We have some deliverables. That's what friends and journeys are. They're physical, tangible items that our 4-Hers get through participating in some types of our programs. For our faculty staff, we offer shared files and resources in Canva, things that provide consistent access to materials so that we can kind of control some pieces of the message and give editable fields where they need to be able to customize it for county operations. So while it's hard to tell the whole story, I hope you can see that there's kind of a structure and a framework in place for how we go about organizing ourselves. And then I mentioned the needs assessment. So this is not something we attempt to do every year, but certainly our county offices are doing some form of a needs assessment with their local program development teams each and every year. At the state level, we are trying to get on about a 3-year rotation, a 3-year model where we've got a framework to have a needs assessment. This round that we're in right now was really born out of some listening sessions that helped us define those 4 items in the rectangle box in the middle. So listening sessions told us that people had input that they wanted to share about the curriculum that we offer in Georgia, the resources we make available, the training and professional development opportunities we just talked about, and then the way that we communicate, both internally within our organization and also our organization to our external partners. So to jump on this needs assessment, we've just engaged all these groups that you see surrounding that rectangle. So of course, our 4-H faculty and staff are an important piece of this, and we've been engaging them since April in some feedback. Our 4-H volunteers are an important piece. Our 4-H, we have a state advisory committee. We were able to engage them. We have a foundation board of trustees. We've gotten input from them. We have multiple established alumni groups. So things like a camp counselor alumni organization or a master 4-H club, they've been able to provide input. And then of course, we didn't forget our 4-H youth. And so they too are providing input in these areas. We have this collection period open through the end of July, and then the hard work of beginning to synthesize and assimilate and process all that data so that we can use it to inform our work for the next program year and beyond. So we like to stay connected. That's really what helps keep us, make sure we're delivering what our local communities need. And as I try to wrap up, y'all, I always like to end with a picture like this. I kind of like to end where I start, and that is with our 4-H youth. So I started with all those other pictures. I ended with just one. These are our WY. These are our 9 state 4-H officers. They're actually nearing the end of their term. Our officers are elected in June, and they begin their service in July. So you can see they're right at the end of their term. Their replacements have already been elected, and they're getting ready to train this week. But every year, 9 officers represent their 173,000 peers. And we think this is an important model because they remind us every day why we do the work that we do and why our work is still relevant and still needed and still making a difference for others. And so we just like to sort of keep them at the middle and the center of everything that we do, because we do consider it a great privilege and a great responsibility to serve our young people. So I did not put my contact info on the slide, but I am glad to share it with others and address any questions that you may have even after the presentation if it's helpful. But again, we just appreciate the opportunity to share the good work we're doing and to sort of put into practice some of the things that Dr. Sallee led with, and just show you what it looks like on the ground level. So thanks again for the opportunity.
Thank you. And we are at the top of the hour, but before jumping into Q&A for anyone that can stay on the call, I wanted to give a shout out to Ms. Kim Waldman from Wisconsin, University of Wisconsin, on her working group that works with recipients on various topics to be in compliance with civil rights laws. Ms. Waldman, if you want to jump on and give a plug to the working group that you have, or drop it in the chat. I see you just did that, so thanks for doing that there. Yeah, if you would like to say anything, Ms. Waldman, yeah, please do so.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hayes, for the opportunity. We were really pleased to have Mr. Maynor join our group for our quarterly meeting last week, and he invited us to share at the end of the meeting today if others would like to join us. We're a self-directed group of civil rights administrators across extension programs throughout the state and territory, throughout the country, I'm sorry, and territories. And we welcome anyone who's interested to join us. So I included my contact information, and we'll add you to our mailing list. Thanks so much for the time.
Thank you. And yes, real quickly, any questions from viewers out there? You could drop it in the chat. You can unmute yourself if you'd like. We'll give an awkward pause for a few moments. Going once, going twice. Sold. With that being said, if there are any questions that you all have after this call, I will include my chat in the or my email in the chat right now, or you can reach out to who you've been working with here at NIFA if you have questions. But my email is tyler.hayes2@usda.gov. Yes, there are multiple Tyler Hayeses that work for USDA. I'm the second one. And again, this webinar will be recorded. Once it's cleaned up and ready to go, it will be emailed out to the listserv. And with that, just thank everyone for their time today. Huge thanks to the presenters as well for their content. And we at NIFA hope you all have a good rest of the day. And feel free again to reach out to us if you have any questions. Thank you.